Hello and welcome. Happy August. Can you believe we're already in August? It's already that close to the end of the year. Ooh, 4 months away. But in this video, we're going to cover the latest apartment rent average price market update so that you have the information that you need in order to plan your move to Austin. Maybe you're already in Austin and you're going to think about moving to a different apartment or a different side of town. This video is going to be for you in the sense that we can see real time between you and I what prices are really like instead of Googling or searching or AIing or chat GPTing and possibly getting incorrect or outdated information. We're going to do this live. So with that, enough of my face, let's get into the rates. So as we see here, we are looking at the latest market update with the average rent being $1,672 for 864 square feet. Now we do see that this was updated last month, so this is the most current market update that we have. Now, this is the one thing that I always try to warn against. I try to make people very, very aware, and that is this is the average rent amount for the entire city and surrounding areas, right? So if you are actually looking to move to Austin, or if you are in one part of Austin and you've never been to the other part that you're considering, this probably does not apply to that space. Always look for the average rent price for the neighborhood, for the area. So whenever you hear on the news, or if you are looking at news articles, or you're reading something and you see average rent, know that it's for the entire city. That's probably not what you're going to pay if you want to move to a specific neighborhood or area that may be more dense compared to other places, or if it's a popular area. So let's jump into what I mean by that right now. Let's go ahead and scroll down. This is all information that you can see if you want to take the time to take a look at it. I'll be sure to include the link to this here in the description. But here's what I want to draw our attention to, and that is the average rent in Austin by neighborhood. So one of the most common places that people are interested in is downtown Austin, right? So if you look at downtown Austin, the average rent for downtown Austin is right under $3,200 a month. Very, very different from 1672, right? Like almost double the cost. Now, the one thing that I do want to draw your attention to is you're seeing the average rent here. This is not the average rent for a 3-bedroom apartment downtown. This is not the average rent for all apartment units. And I only like to share that because sometimes, I love when I see individuals who have seen the average rent for the neighborhood, but then they make up the apartment they want for it, right? So someone will come to me and say, "Hey, $3,200. Yeah, I would love a 3-bedroom. I like to be on the lake, or at least overlooking the lake, and I want natural sunlight to come in all of my windows." And I'm listening, and I'm like, okay, well, please know that this average rent aligns with the average apartment size here. So for downtown, the average rent of that almost $3,200 is for an average 864 square foot apartment downtown. It is specific to the square footage size. It's not for all apartment units, right? So if you're looking at the prices in the neighborhood range that we just came from, that is for the average size of 864 square feet, which is typically a 1-bedroom apartment. If you're looking at prices that are a little bit cheaper, let's just say cheaper than the 3,200 I'm just rounding up to 3,200 here, and I can clearly see this says 3,193 for those who are going to leave me a comment about it. For anything that you might see a little bit cheaper, that means that the square footage is probably a little bit smaller than the 864 square foot average size that we're looking at here. Okay, so I just want to make sure that if you're looking at numbers and you're planning your move, make sure that you account the average rent for the average size. And in this case, using this information, the average apartment size is 864 square feet. Okay, so I think I harped on that enough. I think we all got it there. But if you were looking at the, west end of the university, you're looking around a little under 3,400 for the average rent. Again, for the 864 square foot average apartment size. If you wanted to go, let's say, to the SoCo area, right? So SoCo would be more of kind of like your Music Lane area. That's going to be a little under 2,400. Now, when you are thinking about South Congress, if we scroll down here, we'll see that the average rent price is $1,560, right? A little under $1,600. So you may be saying, okay, well, Marcus, well, that's South Congress, but then SoCo is like a little over $700 more than that, or right around $700 more than that. What's the difference? SoCo is going to be closer to downtown, right? Again, that's why I said it'll be probably more like the Music Lane area, more retail, more dense areas there for SoCo. Whereas if you look at South Congress, this is South Congress as a whole, like the entire road, right? Which extends further south than where SoCo is. So that's the difference that you're going to see here in between South Congress and SoCo. But let's just go back up to some other popular places that I hear people come to me about. Tarrytown, you're looking around 2,300. Don't see too many apartments in Tarrytown, but people do ask for it. If you're looking in like the Clarksville area, about 2,400 average rent. If you've ever heard of the Mueller area, right? Miller's is a little under 2,300, right? Again, this is for 864 square feet. So this is for a one bedroom apartment that we're seeing these prices. So please know that if you find an apartment unit that's a little bit less or a little bit smaller than 864, you might see the price be a little bit lower. But if you are looking for an apartment that has a little bit more square footage than the 864 square feet, then you're probably going to pay a little bit more than this average, right? So understand that the pricing that we're talking about moves on a scale based on the type of unit, right? Studio, one bedroom, two bedroom, three bedroom for areas that have three bedrooms. And it's also going to also be dependent on the square footage. And so the difference there is you may have a one bedroom at 864 square feet that might be around this particular rent amount. But if you have a one bedroom and it is 1,000 square feet, well, even though it's a one bedroom, it's a larger one bedroom, so you might pay a little bit more because, again, this is what we're seeing here is going to be more for the 864 square feet. So having more square footage may impact your rent price as well. Another thing that I want to bring just to your attention, just so you're aware of it, that we don't really see here, is the floor that you're on. Your pricing will also be dependent on what floor that your apartment is on. So if you're say living in a building, it has 10 stories, maybe it has 13 stories. It may be a one bedroom for 864 square feet, but that same apartment on the third floor may be a completely different price than the exact same unit, the exact same square footage, say on the ninth floor, right? So your altitude, the level that you're on, there's levels to this, right? So understand that has a determining factor in your average price or your rental price as well. Zilker. There are a good amount of people who like living around Zilker because you have Zilker Park. So if you like being around a lot of nature and greenery, Zilker is going to be your thing. Or if you like going to events, there are typically consistent events in Austin. Some of the bigger ones, like right ACL, that's going to be in the Zilker Park area, right? If you're, well, South by Southwest is undergoing a little bit of change because our convention center is closed for remodeling at the moment. Maybe this spreads over, right? But South by Southwest is another event that people are familiar with, but that actually just underwent a change because of the convention center closing. So we will see how that happens there. All right, let's scroll down. Triangle, a little under 2100. Okay. North Burnett, looking around 1782, a little under 1800. Now, North Burnett can also include like the Domain area. I wouldn't necessarily say it's exactly the Domain area, but it's near. So if you want to think about Domain, I would add another few bucks to that for the average price. Again, depending on what side and what area that you're looking on, but you can reference this if you're looking for Domain specifically. You can use North Burnett's average rent as a good benchmark. Barton Hills, popular area if you want to be around walking trails, running trails, hiking trails, etc. So you're looking a little under 1750 there. And I know you may be saying, dude, why do you keep saying like 1750 and under 1800 and you clearly see that it says 1727? Mainly because people don't talk like that. No one says like, my budget is around 1727. No one says that to me, ever. Like in almost a decade, I have never heard anyone give me a specific budget like that. So that's why I'm like 1750. I tend to like round up to like 50s or to the next 100 because that's typically how people speak when they're sharing their budget. So if you are planning your budget, you're probably not going to come and say, hey Marcus, yeah, my budget is around 1727. 1729 is just going to be a little much, but I can make it work if it's 1728. Most people don't do that. So that I just wanted to explain that. That's why I'm kind of rounding up and kind of loose, but I typically keep it within 50 bucks to 100, depending on how close it is. So in case that's helpful as well. So I can reduce any confusion I may be causing here. I can totally read these numbers. Crestview area, 16, a little over 1600. So it's another. South Lamar is another area that some people I've hear every now and again, but between South Lamar, they because people like to live in South Austin, you have South Lamar, which is a pretty main road, a little under 1600 bucks there. We already touched on South Congress being a little over 1550, and then you have the rest of these if you kind of want to take the time to take a look at it. So what I do like about using this particular website is, number one, it's free, doesn't cost anything. There's no paywall here. So you can take a look at this and spend as much time on it as you like. But it also lets you know, okay, so out of these, which ones are the most affordable? What's the most expensive? What's the most popular according to their data, according to their information? Now, this type of resource is going to be very figure specific, right? It's going to be it's going to be focused on like rent. So if you're like, well, no, where do people hang out? You might get different answers. Where are the most things to do? Well, depending on what you like to do, that might be a different, popular neighborhood, right? Like I said, hey, you may be interested in Zilker because you like going to live events or you like going to concerts. And so that is based on what to do versus the price of, for that consideration. So anyway, pretty short, sweet, to the point video. Wanted to touch on it a little bit. But I also wanted to show you, in case this is your first time seeing something like this, that there is a difference between the average rent for Austin and the average rent for a specific neighborhood. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, by all means, give it a like. If it wasn't, leave me a comment about what you would like to see, what I can cover, what you want me to cover in a future market update video. Happy to do it. If you're looking for any assistance or any help with your apartment search, by all means, feel free to give my team, myself, a shout. Love to help. Hey, if you like rather do it on your own, not a problem at all. But you want a couple things to make your place feel like home, then go ahead and take a look at some of the links that are in the description and comments, and we can at least get you started on that search. So until the meantime, you stay awesome, stay amazing.